My fiancée said, "I'm not ready for a commitment." I replied, "I understand." Then I sold the engagement ring and used my share of the wedding fund to start a company with my best friend. I know that sounds cold, detached, maybe even a little calculated. But the truth is, when she said those words, something in me didn't shatter the way I expected. It was like a quiet cracking, the kind you hear when the first thin layer of ice breaks beneath your shoes. Soft but final. Emily stood in our living room, hands shaking, her voice thin like she was the one being abandoned. And maybe in her mind, she kept saying she didn't want to hurt me, that she still loved me, that she needed time to grow. But I wasn't stupid. You don't ask for time to grow 3 weeks before the wedding unless you've already found someone or something more interesting to grow toward. I walked away from the conversation strangely calm. My best friend, Tyler, asked me later if I was numb. I told him no. I told him I had seen this ending coming for months. Every time she got more and more distant. Every time she looked at her phone with that weird half smile she didn't think I noticed. Every time she pretended she was too tired to talk about wedding plans, but somehow had the energy to stay up until 2 a.m. scrolling through God knows what. The ring sat on the nightstand for 2 days after she left. Every time I walked past it, I felt like it stared at me, not accusingly, not sadly, just waiting for me to accept what the universe had already decided. This chapter was done, so I sold it. I didn't even hesitate. The jeweler asked if I wanted store credit or cash. I laughed. Actually laughed, because the idea of buying another ring was hilarious in a way that made everything sting. I took the cash. Then I took my part of the wedding fund, half of what we had saved together, because I wasn't about to let her keep it after bailing, and I called Tyler. We'd been talking for years about starting a small web development and automation business. Nothing huge, nothing wild, just something we were good at. Something that would give us control over our lives instead of being stuck in dead-end roles where we were always the ones building other people's dreams. You serious? Tyler asked when I told him I had the money. Completely? He went quiet for a second. What about Emily? She's gone, I said. And I'm done. It should have hurt saying that. Maybe a part of me expected tears or some cinematic, emotional breakdown. But all I felt was relief. A weird, floating lightness, like I had finally put down a heavy box I'd been carrying for so long I forgot how much it weighed. The first few weeks building the company were chaotic. We worked out of Tyler's garage because it was the only place we didn't have to pay rent for. It smelled like gasoline, sawdust, and the weird citrus air freshener Tyler's wife, Megan, insisted on hanging everywhere. But it felt like freedom. We coded for 8 to 10 hours a day, sometimes more. We watched tutorials, read up on automation tools, experimented with small projects until our eyes burned. I slept on their couch more times than I can count. Megan would come home from her nursing shifts, exhausted, drop her bag, look at us hunched over our laptops and say, "If this thing doesn't make at least $1 soon, I'm turning this garage into a yoga studio." She was joking, mostly, but she also believed in us in this quiet, solid way that Emily never had. And that belief felt like a warm hand on the back of my neck, steadying me at moments I didn't think I needed steadying. But grief has a strange way of sneaking in sideways. I'd be halfway through debugging a script when memory would punch through. Emily laughing while we picked out color palettes for the wedding invitations. Emily leaning on my shoulder at the farmer's market. Emily whispering she couldn't wait to grow old with me. Those memories didn't hurt because I missed her. They hurt because I missed a version of myself that believed her. As the company grew, because it did grow faster than either of us predicted, I kept those memories tucked away, not buried, not forgotten, just placed carefully behind a door in my mind. I only opened when I had to. Our first real client came out of nowhere, a small accounting firm that needed automated data processing. The invoice wasn't huge, but when that payment hit our account, I felt something spark in me. Something I hadn't felt in months. Pride. Real pride. The kind that makes your chest warm and your shoulders straighten. "Dude," Tyler said, looking at the payment notification. "We did it." "We did one thing," I said, but I was smiling like a maniac. "Still counts." We got a few more clients. then bigger ones, then referrals, then partnerships. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the version of me that had been crushed under the weight of a failed engagement started breathing again. But life doesn't let you move on cleanly. It always circles back. Sometimes gently, sometimes viciously. For me, it circled back in the form of a text from Emily. "Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, typing, deleting, typing again. Eventually I wrote back. "About what?" Her reply came fast. "Us." I almost laughed. "There's no us." I typed, but I didn't send it. Something in me wanted to hear what she had to say. Not because I wanted her back. God, no. But because closure is a seductive concept. It promises peace, even when you know the real peace comes from walking away. We met at a cafe downtown. She looked different, nervous, tired, almost embarrassed. "You look good," she said. I shrugged. "Busy." She asked about the business. I told her the truth. We were doing well, better than expected. She smiled in that way people smile, when they're trying to hide disappointment. "I'm happy for you," she said, but the words felt brittle. We danced around small talk until she finally said it. "I made a mistake." I didn't respond. "I thought I needed space," she continued. "I thought I wasn't ready for commitment. But I realized I was just scared. Scared of settling down. Scared of not being enough. Scared of losing myself. And now," I asked. Her eyes shimmered. "Now I miss you." I waited for familiar ache. The longing. The part of me that once would have cracked open at those words. But nothing came. Just quiet. Heavy. Final. I told her the truth. "I don't miss you." She inhaled sharply, like the word stabbed her. "I'm not trying to hurt you." I added. I'm not that person anymore." She nodded, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. "Is there someone else?" "No," I said, "but there will be. And when there is, I'm going to be ready in a way I never was with you." She tried to smile. It didn't land. When she walked away, I felt sad, not for losing her, but for realizing how long I'd waited for a version of her that never existed. The business kept growing. We hired contractors, then employees. We moved out of the garage. We opened a small office, nothing fancy, but ours. My parents, who had always quietly questioned whether I was making a huge mistake leaving a corporate job and a long-term relationship, finally admitted they were proud of me. My mother cried when I showed her the new office. My father said, "This is what happens when you stop letting people hold you back." I didn't argue. He wasn't wrong. Months passed. My life didn't become perfect, but it became mine. I started doing things I hadn't done in years. Running the mornings cooking, taking spontaneous trips with Tyler and Megan, even signing up for photography classes just because the idea of capturing moments felt meaningful. I didn't think much about Emily anymore. She became a chapter one didn't revisit, a lesson learned. But the twist came the day we signed our biggest client yet, a massive tech company that needed custom automation workflows. It was a kind of deal that would triple our revenue and put us on the map. We celebrated at a bar downtown, drinking craft beer and eating greasy wings because that's how we honored big wins. I stepped outside to take a breath, letting the noise fade behind me. And that's when someone said my name. "Michael?" I turned around. A woman I'd never seen before stood there, holding a toddler on her hip. The kid couldn't have been more than 2. "I'm sorry," I said. "Do I know you?" "Not personally," she replied. "I'm Rachel. I'm the sister of the guy Emily was seeing behind your back." My heart didn't drop. It didn't shatter. It didn't do anything dramatic. But something inside me slowed. "What?" She swallowed, adjusting the toddler. "I recognize you from pictures. I know this is not my business, but you deserve to know. Emily didn't leave because she wasn't ready. She left because she thought he was going to leave his wife for her." I stared at her, the world going distant the way it does when truth finally hits. "He didn't," Rachel added. "He never planned to." And she was devastated. And I think she hoped you'd take her back, so she wouldn't feel like she lost everything. The toddler tugged at her shirt. Rachel looked tired, weighed down by life. I'm sorry, she said again. I just thought you should know. And then she walked away. I stood there, not angry, not heartbroken, just stunned by the irony. Emily's ending wasn't tragic because she lost me. It was tragic because she never understood what she had until it was gone. And my story wasn't about losing her. It was about finding myself after her. Tyler came outside looking confused. You good? He asked. I nodded. Yeah, I said, I'm better than good. Because in that moment, I realized something that tightened my throat and warmed my chest. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need closure. I didn't need to prove anything. I had already won, not by becoming successful, not by moving on, but by refusing to let someone else's brokenness define my worth. I walked back into the bar with a clarity I'd never felt before. Life wasn't perfect, but it was honest. It was mine. And for the first time in years, I felt ready, truly ready, for whatever came next, whether that was love, heartbreak, success, failure, joy, pain, or the messy combination of all of them, because I finally understood something Emily never did. Commitment doesn't start with someone else. It starts with yourself. And I was ready now. Really ready. I still am.